Ladies and gentlemen, the most overlooked truth in life is that your greatest asset is not your money, your possessions, your job, or even your relationships. It is your time. Time is the single most valuable resource you will ever possess, and it is the only one you cannot earn more of, borrow, save, or replace once it is spent. Every morning you wake up, life credits your account with exactly 86,400 seconds, a gift given equally to the billionaire, the entrepreneur, the teacher, the student, the dreamer, and the doubter alike. Yet what separates those who succeed at extraordinary levels from those who remain stuck is simply how they choose to spend those seconds. Most people treat time as if it's infinite, mindlessly wasting hours on things that do not matter, caught in cycles of distraction, procrastination, and regret, believing they have more time than they actually do. They live as if tomorrow is a guaranteed promise rather than the fragile, uncertain hope that it really is. The truth is tomorrow is never guaranteed for anyone. The clock is always ticking, and every second you let slip by without intention is a second you can never retrieve. Think about it. If someone stole $10 from you every day, you would notice, you would be outraged, you would take action to protect what is yours. Yet how many of us allow time thieves to rob us, blind thieves like endless scrolling, gossip, meaningless arguments, fear of failure, and the comfort of the familiar without even putting up a fight. You can lose money and make it back. You can lose possessions and replace them. But time, once it is gone forever. It becomes part of your story, locked away in the past, immune to apology, immune to bargaining, immune to regret. This is why the people who understand the true value of time live differently. They protect their time. They are intentional with it. They treat it like gold because they realize every second spent is a piece of their legacy written in invisible ink. Using time like a boss means you stop living in reaction and start living by design. It means you stop waiting for permission to chase your dreams and you start demanding from yourself the discipline it takes to make every day count. It means you recognize that every choice you make is either building the life you want or destroying it by inches. Time is the soil in which your future is growing, and you are the farmer. You can plant seeds of action, focus, and ambition, or you can plant seeds of distraction, laziness, and fear. But either way the harvest will come, and you will live with what you planted. Life is not about squeezing the most activity into your hours. It's about aligning your minutes with what matters most to you at the deepest level. If you don't take ownership of your time, someone else will, whether it's the media, toxic people, random distractions, or endless busy work, and slowly, invisibly, they will steal the very life you were meant to live. Understand that time is not neutral. It is either your most powerful ally or your silent assassin. Every second is casting a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Wasted time is not just lost productivity, it's lost dreams, lost potential, lost moments of greatness that could have changed your story. Those who master time master themselves, and those who master themselves become unstoppable. Stop waiting for the right moment, the right mood, the right opportunity, because time does not wait for anyone. It moves forward with or without you, and it demands that you move forward too. Starting right now, make a decision to value your time as if your dreams depended on it, because they do. Make a decision to protect your minutes like a warrior protecting their kingdom. Make a decision to use your seconds not to pass time, but to create a life so extraordinary that when you look back, you feel nothing but pride that you lived fully, intentionally, and without apology. Your most valuable asset is not something you can earn. It's something you already have ticking away right now, and the question you must answer every single day is this: what are you doing with it? One of the greatest silent killers of potential, dreams, and progress in today's world is the trap of distractions, a trap so subtle yet so powerful that most people fall into it without even realizing they have become prisoners of their own divided attention. Distractions today are not just interruptions. They are engineered addictions carefully designed to steal your focus, to hijack your mind, and to keep you busy without ever being productive. And the more connected our world becomes, the more vulnerable we are to these constant pulls away from what truly matters. Every time you hear a notification ding, every time you feel the impulse to check your phone, every time you mindlessly scroll for 5 minutes that turn into 50, you are not just losing time. You are training your brain to crave fragmentation, to seek instant gratification over long satisfaction, and to favor urgency over importance. Distractions are not harmless habits. They are enemies of greatness because greatness demands depth, concentration, and sustained energy, none of which can survive in a mind that is constantly shifting from one meaningless stimulus to another. The trap is so dangerous because it feels good in the moment. Distractions give you a false sense of accomplishment, a fleeting hit of pleasure, a brief escape from discomfort. But over time they silently erode your ability to focus, to think deeply, to create meaningfully, and to persevere when things get tough. Most people do not fail because they are incapable. They fail because they are constantly pulled off course, abandoning important work for the illusion of urgency, trading what they want most for what feels easy right now. You must understand that your attention is one of your most valuable currencies, and every time you allow it to be stolen by distractions, you are financing a future you do not want. In a world where everyone is shouting for your attention, the ultimate act of power is learning to guard it fiercely, to say no more often than you say yes, to ruthlessly eliminate anything that does not move you closer to your purpose. The trap of distractions is deepened by fear, fear of missing out, fear of being left behind, fear of being uncomfortable. But true fulfillment comes not from being everywhere and doing everything, but from being deeply engaged in what matters most to you. Focus is not a natural state in today's world. It is a skill, a discipline, a daily choice to reject the noise and tune into your highest priorities. You must build your life like a fortress, protecting your mental space with boundaries, rituals, and clarity, because without walls to guard your focus, every distraction will find a way in and weaken your foundation. The greatest achievements in history, the masterpieces, the inventions, the breakthroughs, were not born in environments of constant interruption. They were born in silence, in depth, in spaces carved out intentionally for creation and thought. If you want to do anything truly meaningful with your life, you must rise above the addiction to distraction, because every time you give in, you are choosing short-term comfort over long-term greatness. Distractions are the small hinges that swing open the door to regret. They seem harmless in the moment, but collectively they add up to a life half lived, a future half built, and dreams half realized. The brutal reality is that you do not get extra time to make up for what distractions have stolen. You either discipline your focus today or live with the consequences tomorrow. The world will always offer you easy ways out, tempting you to dilute your energy across 1,000 meaningless tasks. But the ones who achieve excellence are those who have the courage to be unavailable for what doesn't matter. Mastery demands monomaniacal focus, the ability to lock onto one meaningful pursuit with all the fire, discipline, and devotion inside you. And you cannot do that if you are constantly checking, reacting, responding, scrolling, and drifting. You must choose. Either you control your attention, or the world will control it for you. Either you live intentionally, or you exist reactively. Either you stay locked into your mission, or you get lost in the noise. Every day is a battle between your dreams and your distractions, and the outcome is determined not by what you say you value, but by how you spend your minutes, your moments, your mind. Refuse to be another casualty of the distraction epidemic. Build a life that demands your full attention, and you will find that the clarity, power, and purpose you are seeking have been within your grasp all along, waiting for you to simply look away from the noise and toward the life you were meant to build. If time is your most valuable asset, then prioritization is the compass that determines how wisely you invest it, because no matter how driven, talented, or ambitious you are, you simply cannot do everything, and success in life does not come from doing more. It comes from doing what matters most, consistently and deliberately, even when everything else is screaming for your attention, because in a world overflowing with options, opportunities, distractions, and demands, the true power lies not in saying yes, but in having the clarity and courage to say no, because every time you say yes to something, you are by default saying no to something else, and without clear priorities, you will constantly fall into the trap of urgency over importance, reacting to whatever is loudest, most recent, or easiest, while the things that actually build your future, your vision, and your legacy quietly sit untouched in the background of your life, waiting for your focus and your discipline. And that is why prioritization is not just about time management. It is about life design, about consciously choosing where your energy, your effort, your hours go, and aligning them with your deepest values and biggest goals, because when everything is important, nothing is important, and far too many people confuse being busy with being productive, checking off endless to-do lists that leave them exhausted, but no closer to the life they truly want, while the people who rise above the noise, the ones who move fast and go deep, are the ones who prioritize with precision, who start every day knowing what the top 1, 2, or 3 things are that will move the needle, and they pour themselves into those tasks before allowing the chaos of the world to pull them in other directions. And this level of clarity is not accidental. It requires reflection, honesty, and sometimes the uncomfortable willingness to admit that you've been spending too much time on things that look good on the surface, but do nothing to serve your mission beneath it. And you must understand that the greatest threat to your best life is not failure. It's distraction disguised as opportunity, because not everything that is possible is profitable, not every invitation deserves your attention, and not every task on your list belongs in your day, because every great achiever you admire, from elite athletes to visionary entrepreneurs to revolutionary creators, masters the art of prioritization by knowing exactly what deserves their energy and what doesn't, and they protect that focus with boundaries that are unbreakable, habits that are non-negotiable, and schedules that are designed around intention, not reaction, because they know that excellence is built on repetition, not randomness, and they don't spread themselves thin chasing 10 different goals. They go all in on the few things that truly matter, and that kind of focus is a superpower in a world that tries to pull you in 100 directions at once. And yes, it requires saying no to good things to make room for great ones. Yes, it requires disappointing others to stay true to yourself. And yes, it requires the strength to stay committed to what matters most, even when nobody is watching, even when results are slow, even when the world offers shiny distractions dressed up as shortcuts, because when you prioritize what matters, your life begins to align, your energy feels centered, your days feel purposeful, and your results begin to multiply, not because you're doing more, but because you're doing the right things with full force. And that is the essence of living like a boss, not chasing everything, but choosing wisely, moving intentionally, and building a life that reflects your deepest priorities, not the noise of the world around you, Because when you learn to prioritize, you take control of your time, your goals, and ultimately your destiny. Every second counts because every second is life in motion, a silent but powerful fragment of your story being written in real time, and whether you recognize it or not, those seconds are not just ticking by. They are building your future or burying your potential, and the most dangerous lie we are ever sold is that we have time, but the truth is we only have now, this breath, this moment, this heartbeat, and what we do with it matters more than we can ever fully grasp, because we don't get to rewind time, we don't get to pause it, and we certainly don't get to store it for later. Every second that slips through your fingers is gone forever, etched into the past with no chance of return or redemption. And yet we spend so much of our lives acting like time is disposable, like it can be tossed aside, delayed, or ignored without consequence. We scroll endlessly. We wait for the perfect moment. We drown in distractions and delay our dreams as if there will always be a tomorrow waiting for us to begin. But the harsh reality is that tomorrows are not promised, and wasted time is not just lost opportunity, it's lost life, and the people who understand this, who truly internalize that every second counts, are the ones who move differently. They speak with intention, they work with urgency, they love with presence, they don't waste time on meaningless drama, they don't hesitate on what matters, and they certainly don't sleepwalk through their lives hoping that someday it'll all magically come together, because they know that someday is not a day of the week. It is a slow death for every idea never acted on, every goal never pursued, every talent never developed. And if you want to live a life that leaves a mark, a life that is full, rich, meaningful, and unapologetically yours, then you must start seeing every second as a building block of that life. Because greatness is not made in a day, it is built second by second, decision by decision, sacrifice by sacrifice, and each second is a chance to rise or retreat, to step into power or fall into passivity. And the truth is, you don't need more time. You need to start valuing the time you already have, to stop waiting and start acting, because the people who win, who grow, who lead, they aren't waiting for the perfect conditions. They're squeezing meaning out of every imperfect moment. They're turning seconds into strides, and while the world sleeps, they are working, while others hesitate. They are building, because they know that every day is made up of 86, 400 seconds, and every single one is a vote cast for the kind of life you will live. And you might think 1 second doesn't matter, but ask the athlete who lost the gold medal by a split second. Ask the driver who looked down at their phone for 1 second too long. Ask the person who hesitated for 1 second and missed the chance of a lifetime, and you'll understand that in the game of life, every second is loaded with consequence, with power, with purpose, and the people who respect time, who maximize it, who don't take it for granted, those are the ones who become unstoppable, because they understand that time is not something to kill, it's something to honor, and the way you treat your seconds reflects the way you treat your life. And no, it's not always about hustle and grind. It's about being fully present, about showing up with intention whether you're working, resting, learning, connecting, or growing. It's about recognizing that even rest, when done with purpose, is an investment in your energy, that even silence, when intentional, is an investment in your clarity. Because when you make every second count, you become someone who doesn't waste life wishing. You build life by doing, by choosing, by deciding over and over again to make this moment, this hour, this day, the foundation for something greater. Because at the end of your life, you won't look back and remember all the time you had, you'll remember how you used it. And the most important truth of all is this: every second is a gift, and how you use it is the legacy you leave behind. The way you perceive time determines the way you live your life, And one of the most transformative shifts you can ever make is to stop thinking of time as something you simply spend and start seeing it as something you must invest. Because when you spend time, it's gone used, consumed, and often forgotten. But when you invest time, it grows, it compounds, it multiplies in value and impact far beyond the moment in which it was used. And that difference in mind set is what separates people who live with purpose from those who drift through life on autopilot, because time is not money. Time is far more valuable than money. You can lose money and get it back, but you cannot lose time and recover it. So every moment you give to something or someone is a moment you can never get back, and that reality should make you pause and ask yourself, am I just passing time, or am I planting it, nurturing it, directing it towards something meaningful that will bring returns in my future, my growth, and my legacy? Because the truth is, your time is a currency, and every second is a decision. And just like a smart investor doesn't throw their money into whatever looks shiny or trendy in moment, you can't afford to throw your time into things that feel good now but leave you empty later. And too many people live like time is this endless stream they can dip into whenever they please, spending it mindlessly on distractions, gossip, procrastination, meaningless habits, and empty entertainment, not realizing that every moment spent on things that don't matter is time stolen from the things that do. And the people who understand the true value of time don't just spend their days, they build their days. They design them with intention, with strategy, with long-term vision. Because they know that the seconds they invest today in reading, in learning, in creating, in exercising, in building relationships, in building themselves, those seconds will yield compound growth that shows up in the strength of their mindset, the power of their results, and the quality of life they create. And this is not about being busy every second. This is about being intentional, because rest can be an investment if it fuels your energy. Connection can be an investment if it strengthens your relationships. Even saying no can be an investment if it protects your priorities. But what is not an investment is the time wasted on things that do not align with who you want to become. The time given away to people who drain your energy or steal your focus. The time lost drifting in indecision or living by default instead of design. And if you want to build a life of meaning, a life that reflects your highest values and deepest ambitions, you must begin to treat time with the same level of respect and discipline as you would your most prized possessions, because time is life, and when you waste time, you're not just wasting a resource. You're wasting your potential, your vision, your chance to rise. And the irony is that most people complain about not having enough time, when what they really lack is clarity on how to use it with purpose. And if you start approaching time the way an investor approaches capital, asking yourself, what kind of return will this bring? What kind of growth will this lead to? How will this minute add value to my future self? Then everything changes, your decisions get sharper, your focus gets clearer, and your actions get aligned. And the moment you shift from spending time to investing it, you stop reacting to life and start building it brick by brick, second by second, with purpose, vision, and direction. And that is when time becomes your most powerful ally, not your enemy, not a thief, but a multiplier of the life you're capable of creating. One of the most misunderstood truths in life is that discipline does not limit your freedom. Discipline is the very thing that creates it. Because while the world teaches you to associate freedom with doing whatever you want, whenever you want, without rules or restrictions, the reality is that life without discipline is not freedom. It's chaos, it's drift, it's bondage dressed as liberty, and it leads to a slow, painful erosion of your potential, your power, and your purpose. Because when you don't control your habits control you. When you don't master your schedule, your Schedule masters you, and when you don't train your mind becomes a slave to emotions, impulses, and excuses. And that is why discipline, although difficult in the short term, is the ultimate path to long-term liberation, because when you commit to structure, to routine, to showing up, even when you don't feel like it, you build trust with yourself, you become someone who keeps their word, someone who doesn't fold under pressure, someone who doesn't wait for motivation to strike. They move with mission, and that kind of self-respect, that inner strength, that identity forge through consistency becomes the foundation of true freedom, because when you are disciplined with your time, you gain the freedom to create instead of just consume. When you are disciplined with your energy, you gain the freedom to show up powerfully in every area of your life. When you are disciplined with your thoughts, you gain the freedom to lead your emotions rather than be led by them, and that kind of freedom is not given. It is earned every day. In the early mornings you didn't want to wake up, but did anyway, in the hard choices you made when no one was watching, in commitments you honored long after the feeling had faded, because real freedom is not doing what feels good in the moment, it's doing what is right, so that you can live a life that feels good in the long run. And most people never experience that kind of freedom because they're too busy chasing shortcuts, avoiding discomfort, and quitting as soon as things get hard. But those who understand that discipline is the gatekeeper to greatness learn to fall in love with the process. They learn to push through resistance, to delay gratification, to lead themselves before they try to lead anyone else, and over time that discipline turns into confidence, that confidence turns into capability, and that capability gives you options, it gives you influence, it gives you control over your future, and that is what freedom truly is. Not luck, not talent, not circumstance, but the outcome of years of intentional action, repeated sacrifice, and unwavering focus. And if you want to experience real freedom, the kind where you're not bound by financial stress, emotional instability, health problems, or regrets, you must build a life on discipline, because you will either suffer the pain of discipline now or the pain of regret later, and only one of those leads to peace, to pride, to power. And if you look at anyone who has mastered their craft, dominated their field, or changed the world, you will not find someone who lacked discipline. You will find someone who chose discipline when it wasn't easy, someone who created boundaries when it wasn't popular, someone who said no to comfort so they could say yes to greatness. And that's the truth you must carry. Discipline is not punishment, it is self-respect, it is ownership, it is freedom in disguise, and the moment you embrace that is the moment you take back control of your life. If you've listened this far, then I know something about you. You are not here to live an average life, you are not here to waste your potential, and you are not here to let time slip through your fingers like sand. And now that you've heard the truth, the final challenge is not just to be inspired, but to act, because motivation without movement is just noise, and the world has enough people who talk big but stay small, enough people who dream but never decide, who plan but never push, and your final challenge is this. Take everything you've heard and ask yourself, what are you going to do today to make it real, not tomorrow, not next week, but now? Because real change begins in moments like this, when the noise fades and clarity cuts through, and you realize no one is coming to save you, no one is going to live your dream for you, no one else is responsible for your growth, your habits, your purpose, your discipline, or your time. You are, and that is not a burden, that is a gift, because it means your future is in your hands. And if you have the courage to own that truth, you become unstoppable, because when you choose to use time like a boss, to prioritize like it matters, to cut the distractions, to invest every second with intention, to build discipline like a warrior, you will create a life that others will call lucky, but you'll know it wasn't luck. It was choice after choice after choice, made when it was hard, when no one was watching, when quitting would have been easier. And that's the kind of character that transforms not only your results but your identity. And the greatest reward of all is not what you achieve. It's who you become in the process, because the best version of you, the disciplined, focused, fulfilled, powerful version of you, is waiting on the other side of this decision. Will you go back to your old ways, your old habits, your old excuses, or will you rise up and do what most won't so you can live how most never will? And this is your moment to draw the line in the sand, to leave behind every version of you that wasted time, that made excuses, that lived for comfort instead of calling, because you don't get this life again, and what you build with it is entirely up to you. So don't wait to be ready. Start now, imperfectly, urgently, bravely, and remember this for the rest of your life. How you spend your time is how you live your life, and when you choose to use time like a boss, you become the author of your story, not a victim of your circumstances, and that story, if written with fire, purpose, and discipline, becomes a legacy that outlives you. So step up, take the challenge, and write it well.